internet! Today I thought I would recommend some of my favorite romance-influenced books. Most of these are going to be contemporary, but there are a couple of books from other genres on this list as well, but basically these are books where romance is kind of the main theme. So let's get started. And these books are in no particular order, by the way. The first book I have to recommend is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This was one of my favorite books from last year, and I just really love it. I've only read 2 of Morgan Matson's books, but this is definitely my favorite of the 2. It's a pretty long contemporary book, but I think it's really well worth it. It's about this girl named Andy, who's the daughter of this politician, and she has her whole summer planned out ahead of her, and then a scandal happens with her dad, and her summer plans end up getting kind of ruined. And being the planner that Andy is, this kind of freaks her out a little bit. The only job she can really find is being this dog walker, and then of course a boy comes into play. One thing I really liked about this book is I think it did a really good job balancing the relationship within family, romantic relationship, and friendship relationships. I think it did a really good job of tackling all of those, but I really love this book. It's one of my favorite contemporaries, and I highly suggest it if you haven't read it yet. Next, I have a pretty popular one, and that is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Now, while this isn't my favorite John Green book, I think this is probably my favorite relationship in his books. If you don't know what this is about a girl named Hazel Grace. Hazel has terminal cancer, and one day when she's at support group, she catches the eye of a new guy in the support group named Augustus. And I just really love Hazel and Augustus's relationship. This book means a lot to me. I've read it 3 times. And also the film was a really good adaptation if you haven't seen that as well. But I know that this book can kind of be a little bit controversial, but I really love it, and I recommend it if you haven't read it because I feel like you should at least give it a try. Next, I have The Selection series by Kira Cass. Now, this series is actually a dystopian series. It pretty much revolves around romance. This book follows our protagonist, America Singer, and she lives in a society way in the future where when the prince comes of age, they hold almost this bachelor-like competition called The Selection, and one girl from each territory is sent to the capital to compete to be the prince's new wife and become the princess. It's very much like The Bachelor, but set in the future and with royalty. I don't watch The Bachelor. I know a lot of people do, but I really loved the series, and even though it kind of has a cheesy sounding premise, I actually think it was really good. The further into the series you get, the more political it gets as well, at least when it comes to the first 3 books. This series was originally a trilogy, and then she added some more books to the series that are set like 20 years in the future. I don't really particularly like the last 2, but the original trilogy I think is definitely worth reading. These books are very much a guilty pleasure of mine, and I really love them. And if you are a romance fan, I think that you would like these a lot, but don't be turned off by the cheesy sounding plot because they're actually really good. Next, I have Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colthurst, and this is a standalone fantasy book. I've been talking about this book on my channel a lot lately, and that's because it's one of my favorite books I've read so far this year. It's about this girl named Dinah who has pretty much all her life been betrothed to a prince from another kingdom, so that way their 2 kingdoms can unite. And she also secretly has an affinity for fire magic, but she can't say anything because the kingdom where her betrothed is from does not like magic. That is a big no-no. So at the beginning of the book, Dinah shows up to her new kingdom to meet her betrothed and to start planning her wedding, and she doesn't so much have feelings for the prince, but she actually instead has feelings for the prince's sister. So this is the LGBTQ+ book. It's an Voices book, and I really loved it. I love the relationship between Dinah and Mare, and it just made me so happy with the way everything was executed in this book. I thought the relationship was just so well executed. It was not insta-lovey at all, which I really appreciated because I feel like too often with princess books that happens. And like I said, this is one of my favorite books I've read this year. I have a review up for this book as well as The Unexpected Everything, so I'll leave both of those in the description, but I cannot recommend this book enough. If you haven't read this book yet, you need to. Now, if you're looking for cute YA contemporary romance, I could not make this video without mentioning the Anna and the French Kiss companion trilogy by Stephanie Perkins. There are 3 books in this series: Anna and the French Kiss, Lil and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After. And like I said, they're companion books, but all of the other characters, the further you get in, show up at some point in the book. But Anna and the French Kiss is my favorite of the 3, and Anna and Etienne are one of my favorite book couples. I just love this series. It's just really good, genuine, romantic, YA contemporaries. I love it. I love particularly this book in general. Like I said, I couldn't make this video without mentioning the series. Next, I have Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. In this book, Simon kind of has a secret online email relationship with this kid named Blue, and Simon doesn't actually know Blue's real identity, but I love the relationship in this. This book is kind of like part romance, part coming out story, part just like learning to be comfortable with who you are, and I really loved it. I thought this was a fantastic book. I really loved reading it. I can't wait to see what else Becky Albertalli writes, because she does have another book coming out this year. If you're wanting to kind of find a really cute YA contemporary that's LGBTQ, I highly recommend this book. And I could not make this video again without including a Rainbow Rowell book. It was kind of hard to pick. I didn't want to put them all on there because I really love all of the relationships in her books, but my favorite has got to be Eleanor and Park. I just love the relationship and how it progresses, and I feel like Eleanor and Park's relationship is just a really sweet, genuine teenage love story, and it wasn't cheesy at all, and I also love the diverse elements of this book, and I need to reread this book. It's been a while since I've read it, but I really, really, really love this book. It's my favorite Rainbow Rowell book that I've read so far. I've only read her 3 young adult books. I have not read her 2 adult books yet, but out of the 3, this is still my favorite. But honestly, if you're looking for YA contemporary romance, you can't go wrong with any of Rainbow Rowell's books, to be completely honest. So those are just some of my favorite romantic related books. Obviously I have more. Those are just kind of my favorites. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought. Of course, keeping those thoughts spoiler free. And also, if you have any other recommendations for me, leave those in the comments as well. That'll be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.